Martin Peters, 1966 World Cup winner and West Ham legend, dies aged 76. World Cup final 1966, Martin Peters puts England 2-1 up against West Germany. Bobby Moore, Geoff Hurst, Martin Peters and Ray Wilson feature in a statue near West Ham's former stadium. Frank Bruno, centre, and Sir Geoff Hurst, right, have both paid tribute to Peters. News script from BBC. World Cup winner and West Ham legend Martin Peters has died aged 76, his family have announced. Peters, who joined West Ham aged 15, spent 11 years with the club until he became Britain's first £200,000 player in a move to Tottenham in 1970. He scored for England in their 1966 World Cup final win over West Germany. All clips may not represent the story. West Ham said the 1966 World Cup winner passed away peacefully on Saturday after a long and courageous battle with illness. He is the fifth member of English football's greatest ever team now sadly lost, along with Alan Ball, Ray Wilson, Gordon Banks and his fellow West Ham Academy hero and great friend, Bobby Moore, the club added. Watch to become bilingual with latest world news. His former England teammate Sir Geoff Hurst said it was a very sad day for football and for me personally. Martin Peters was one of the all-time greats and a close friend and colleague of mine for in excess of 50 years, Hurst continued. A fellow World Cup final goalscorer and my West Ham partner for years along with Bobby Moore. Rip old friend. Peters won the European Cup Winners' Cup with West Ham in 1965 as well as the UEFA Cup and 2 League Cups with Spurs. After 5 years at Norwich he moved to Sheffield United for a season before retiring in 1981. Peters, who was awarded an MBE for services to football in 1978, still regularly attended West Ham games as a club ambassador. A lightning moment for a humble legend. Peters was only handed his England debut by manager Alf Ramsey shortly before the 1966 World Cup and he impressed in a 2-0 win over Yugoslavia. 2 months later his goal looked set to win the final at Wembley, only for West Germany to level with seconds remaining before Hurst sealed a 4-2 win and completed his hat-trick in extra time. Asked about his goal, Peters once said, "The emotion was like being struck by lightning, it was unbelievable." Ramsey himself said Peters was 10 years ahead of his time. West Ham said Peters, Hurst and Moore were able to ensure immortality for Ramsey's team. The club's joint owners David Sullivan and David Gold said, "In many ways, though, Martin's greatest legacy is not the World Cup medal itself, but the example that he provides to every young player who walks through the door of our academy." The word legend is used all too freely nowadays. But Martin Peters is a true legend. A legend of West Ham United. A legend of world football. And his contribution to our club and our game will never, ever be forgotten. Peters 67 won caps for England and made over 700 appearances for clubs throughout his career. His former West Ham teammate Trevor Brooking told BBC Sport, "The best description of Martin was that he was very humble. They enjoyed the World Cup but it was probably only when each decade went by and England could never repeat it that the enormity of what they achieved grew. Martin never revelled in it. He was very humble, good company and never went looking for any headlines." Icon, hero, gentleman, reaction. Former England striker Gary Lineker, "Sorry to hear that Martin Peters has passed away. One of our World Cup winning heroes. A great player and a true gentleman." Former England goalkeeper Peter Shilton, "So sad to hear of the passing of Martin Peters, World Cup 1966 winner, such a gentleman and a player ahead of his time according to Sir Alf Ramsey. I played with him at England when my career started and was very fond of him, I will miss him. RIP." Former world heavyweight champion Frank Bruno, "Really sad news about Martin Peters. He was one of my heroes as a kid watching West Ham. A brilliant footballer and a gentleman. RIP Martin Peters." Former England striker Stan Collymore, "Extremely sad to hear of the passing of West Ham, Spurs and England legend, Martin Peters. An English sporting icon and a lovely man who'll be sadly missed. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.